want to share with you a story. The story is about a 24-year-old girl, young, naive, and confused. She's working in a job. She didn't know if she wanted to go back to school, college, university. She had just left her first year university, and she was just trying to find her path. So one morning, she got in her car and she started driving. She was driving to work on a different route than she usually would take every morning. This route was one that her coworker had told her would be a faster route, and they were unfamiliar roads, and it was a really cold and dark morning. It was just after an ice storm in March, and so she was heading up this hill. The snowbanks were really high, to the point where you couldn't even see stop signs or anything. And that morning, this girl did not make it to work. What she did make it to was to a hospital. She woke up, and what she saw was all of the people that love her surrounding her. So that day was the beginning of the next 6 months of her life, where she spent in a hospital bed, unable to move, and then from there in a wheelchair. That girl was me. Now, I'm not telling you this story because I want to make you feel sorry for me, because that's the last thing that this story did for me. Actually, this story was empowering because from that experience, it propelled me to go to school and become a paramedic. What I learned after my accident was that the paramedics that were there on the day that I was unconscious in that car, they saved my life. I sustained a lot of internal injuries, and I broke my pelvis, which you can die from. So for me, that moment and that experience was one that made me realize how lucky I was to have all those people sitting in that room with me, loving me, and it really helped me to find my path, because prior to this accident, I was really confused. So I went to school as a paramedic, and I started in the job. I've been working as a paramedic for the last 8 years. And my journey has had a lot of ups and downs. In 2012, I was carrying a patient out of his house. He had fallen off of a ladder earlier that day, and I was with another female, and the two of us were carrying this 250-pound man out of his house. That day, I hurt my back. It wasn't an instant back injury. It was one that days later started to creep up on me, to the point where for the next 3 years of my life, I was suffering chronic, debilitating back pain. And for somebody who strives on being active almost every day, who eats healthy, I can't even tell you how mentally, emotionally, and physically draining this was for me. And I overcame it. I still tried to make it to the gym. I did what I could when I could. I had limitations. Sometimes I could only stand straight up for 20 minutes and then I'd have to lay on the ground. But I overcame it, and it wasn't easy. It was probably one of the most challenging things I've ever had to experience in my life. And it truly made me question everything. It made me question being a paramedic in a physical job, lifting heavy people every day. Is that for me? Can I do it? Can I physically be able to do this for the next 20 years of my life? I've overcome that, and I very rarely now have chronic back pain. But when you have your health and you take it for granted, and then something happens that takes your health away from you, there's no words to describe what that could feel like. Our health is everything, and that propelled me to go to school for nutrition and to learn everything I could possibly learn about chronic illnesses and disease and how to help ourselves with food. And from that, I've started my blog almost 3 years ago now, The Nude Mushroom, and I love to share on there everything I'm learning, all the knowledge, all the empowering information that there is, how important fruits and vegetables are for us, as much as we totally forget that. But I mean, the earth has given us these foods in order to heal our bodies, and our bodies have the capability of healing themselves. And it's just a matter of activating those healing systems with the right foods and putting the right foods in our body. And I want to teach people that, and that's what I strive to do every day. And I want to empower people to take control of their health and to not go down the road of chronic illness and disease. I had another incident in 2014, right before Christmas time. Again, I was at work as a paramedic, and we went to a call for a patient who had overdosed. En route, I tried to start an IV on this patient, which I was hoping would help him in the hospital. And I went to start the IV, I advanced it into his vein, and then my partner hit a bump, and the catheter then went into my hand. And at the time, it felt very surreal, and I really didn't think I had actually poked myself. But sure enough, when I pulled off my glove, there was blood all over my hand. What I found out the hours after that call was that not only did this patient have Hep C, but he also had Hep B and was high risk for HIV because he was an IV drug user. For that situation, again, my health felt at jeopardy. I felt like there's this possibility that I might end up with Hep C, or I might end up with HIV and have a shortened life. And again, I strive so hard to be healthy and to do all the right things and to try to inspire that in other people. And here I was sitting in the hospital waiting to find out my fate and to find out, blood test after blood test, waiting to find out, am I going to have Hep C, or does this patient have HIV? I mean, just waiting for those results, I can't even explain to you how agonizing that was for me. And it really made me question everything, and it really made me try to understand, what my purpose is here and why am I on this path as a paramedic. I mean, it hasn't been treating me very well. And, when I'm going into these houses and I'm seeing these people with chronic illnesses, and now what I know as a nutritionist, it's like, oh, if I had only met you years before you did all the wrong things, before you ended up on this path. Because a lot of chronic illnesses are preventable, and they really are just basically not giving your body the right things for a long period of time. It's like your car. If you didn't ever do an oil change in your car, eventually your car is going to break down on you. And I look at fruits and vegetables and healthy foods that we nourish our bodies with as the oil that we would put in a vehicle. It's going to give back what you give it. So if you give it nourishing, healthy foods, and if you take care of it and you're active and you try to be healthy, your body is going to give you long life, and it's going to give you health, and it's going to give you all those amazing gifts that we're so lucky to have. And I feel like my path right now is to inspire other people who are maybe suffering in pain. Maybe you're suffering silently, and you're scared and you don't know what the future holds for you with your health, and you're confused, and there's so much conflicting information out there, and it's so confusing. But all I can say is that you just have to listen to your body, and you have to treat your body with respect. This is the only temple that's going to house you. You only have one body, and it's your opportunity to take care of it and to embrace it and heal it with everything that's good for you. That's my message. I want to give people hope. I want you to know that you don't have to suffer in pain, and you don't have to suffer with these chronic illnesses. You don't have to be on lists of medications for the rest of your life. You don't have to suffer on antidepressants because you're in so much pain you don't even know how to deal with it. Food will heal you, and you just have to know what the right things are, and I'm here to help. So please email me or reach out to me. Go to my website, nudemushroom.com, and connect with me, or comment on a post, and I'll help you and I'll share as much information as I can possibly do, because I feel like my journey here is to help people, and so that's the path I'm on. So I hope that in some way this message inspired you. It was hard for me to share, but I feel like it's healing for me, and I hope that in some way, for somebody who might be out there suffering, that it will help you as well.